Alright, so I had a really hard time today at work all of a sudden. So bad that I think the almost the entire shift, I listened to only one podcast. It was a long one, it was like a 2 hour long podcast. But in the like 6.5, 7 hours I was there, I only made it through like that one long podcast because I had paused it for the majority of my shift because I was just thinking about this problem I was having. Writing problem, obviously, because that's the channel we're on. And I always have to speak so indirectly, bunnies. I always have to speak so indirectly about it, but basically, with this prelude story that I'm doing, this introductory thing into the next book, like I just hit a point where I was trying to figure out how, at the ending, how it's going to wrap up. And as I was writing and as I was working through the ideas that I had written down, that I noted, and that like the path I was going on, I just kind of had like a realization of like this feels like I'm retreading the same ground that I just did with the garden. Without spoilers, the garden has part of the ending. Sorry, I just got done doing like pull ups, leg lifts, and walking up the stairs, so I'm like got a little out of breath. The ending with the garden has like a bunch of trials the character has to face, a lot of like hurdles to get through, and it's a lot of like going down like narrow linear paths, like hallways, corridors, and stuff like that, and very thematic to like the only way forward is through, or the only way through is forward, and only being able to go straight, little deviation, a lot of like just whatever, very thematic things to the character and the world and stuff. And as I'm writing this right now, I'm getting to the point where like we're getting to the resolution part of it, where it doesn't have like, and the garden didn't have a direct. I mean, it had an antagonist, but like not in the same way a regular story does, where it's like an active threat trying to like kill you or something or whatever. It's just like it's something for the character. I can't even fucking talk about it. I can't even think. But this one doesn't have any antagonist. This is a very like in between, connecting one story to the other. It's a bridge between the end of book two and the start of this book. And it sets a stage for a lot of other information that we need to know about the universe and certain characters we're going to have more interactions with in the next book. And hi, baby. Hi, handsome. What a good boy. And so I have to. There's a lot of information I have to include in there, but how we're getting to the ending is like, all right. So it obviously needs to be a little different. So like the characters exploring different memories and different moments in time to like connect and collect the pieces to form the narrative, to remember. Hi, Domino. Look at the girl. Look at the girl. Hi, girl. Boop. Boop. Anyway, yeah. So, and when they get there, it's like, yeah, well, we can't just have her get to the end without there being some additional trial. And there are trials throughout it. She does have hurdles. I say she, obviously, we're following a female character, but it's not even a real character, so, like, that's just innocuous. But the character we're following doesn't have to, like, has had trials to get through there, but nothing, only like things that slow them down and really make them kind of just debilitating things. Not like a direct antagonist. They're not like fighting their way through memories or anything like that. They're observing and living. But then there's again, it's like, yeah, we can't just have them walk through a door and be at the end. Where's the fun in that? That's boring. We have to have them have some additional thing. There is an awareness to their activities, and there is something keeping them or trying to keep them from achieving their goal. So how do we present that? But then as soon as I started thinking about that with my original plan, it's like, well, that just kind of feels like I'm mirroring things that happened in the garden, where there was this underlying antagonist that is kind of like revealed throughout and pops up at the end. Not really pops up, but just like becomes more present in the end as a final obstacle. And while obviously these two stories aren't the same, they're not following that same exact path. Obviously, they're very, very different. I was just thinking like, It just feels too similar, and I don't know how else to go about it. So I think what I'm going to do is nix that confrontation thing that I originally had. It was going to be a very brief confrontation. It was would only have been one quick scene, just as like a slowing down thing, and so I think I'm gonna nix that entirely, and I think I came up with something to do a little different. And also, I have a hard time thinking of different environments because the environments that we're presented with this book series is very normal. Rural streets, some urban streets, forests, fields, rivers, ponds, normal nature, human things that an average person living in like the mid east, middle in like the middle east of America, Midwest, Mid East, you know what I mean, would be able to feasibly visit. So it's like, oh, they're in another forested area. They're walking down another path. There's a body of water nearby. It's like, how can I make these scenes, how can I make these environments feel dynamic and fresh and interesting? And it's like, oh, I could try to, bring them to some rock gorge canyon. No, it doesn't fit the story. That's not a part of the story. That's not part of the environment that they're around, and there's no reason for that to exist. And I want to have there be a connective tissue between all these things. When a reader who's read this far in the books sees, I want them to be like, oh, there's a river cutting it through a thin birch forest that the character's following along. That's reminiscent of this scene from the book. Is that like a little overlap? You know, I want them to feel familiar with that and maybe connect to little things throughout and try to have like a conspiracy in their head of just like, how is all this, what is it, whatever. You know, I want them to have that engagement and that familiarity. I want it to feel smooth and natural, to be like, oh yes, I'm comfortable, I know where I am, I know what the writer's trying to get through because we've been in these scenes before. And I want to do that without feeling like they were in the woods again, there were leaves on the ground, what's that? Wind and a cloud. It's like, but I can't go nuts. I can't go fucking nuts with it. Hi, BB. I can't go nuts with it because then that just changes the dynamic, and especially for this, because this story is meant to be like a kind of like retreading certain things for a reason. It's not like whatever. You'll see when you get there. But yeah. So I was trying to. Oh, sorry, BB. I pulled your tail. I'm trying to figure out like different environments without it, unique environments without making it completely unrecognizable to the story. So I had to kind of put them in the same places. But I had a couple of ideas. I had my phone, I just like filled up a whole page of notes on my phone of just like potentials and character interactions and Domino scratching the floor because I'm out here talking. Get over it, girl. I pay all your bills. So I think I've got it mostly situated, and it took up such a huge chunk of my brain today. But the good news is, by the time I write the end for this, which actually I don't write the end, because it's not the end until it's the end, because it's all one long continuous story. Until I, get to the last page, by the time I get to the last page, brain, there won't be a whole lot of stuff for me to go through and like fix and tweak and edit. That's the beauty of it being a short story, is it's not that much. I only really have to do another pass. It's currently at 67 pages. I think we'll be getting close to 80 to 100 pages. Maybe not 100, but close to that by the time I'm done, which is still longer than I intended it to be, but still within the realm of acceptable length for me for what this is. And I can tweak it. If I want it to be a little bit shorter, page count wise, I'll shrink it down. I'll shrink the font size a little bit because I have 10.5 right now. And I'll shrink I think this line spacing is 1.15. I'll change the margins a little bit to make it all fit a little bit better. If I want to condense it, compress it a little bit. I think it's only 25,000 words right now, so that's not a lot. Yeah, so that was my day today. Just my brain just completely imploded in on itself. That's what usually happens. I get hit with like, oh no, that's a potential plot hole, and then I go into a fucking frenzy trying to figure things out and rewrite. And if there's something I can't go back and fix because it's too much of like a narrative foundational screw keeping shit together, then I go through in the future story and I loosely retcon it, or I tweak something to make that seem I don't know, less implausible or whatever, just more believable. Yeah, I don't know. What a pain in the ass. But this whole thing has got me. This whole, like, oh, this ending feels too similar to The Garden that I just did, even though it's really not, but, like, kind of. It shares a lot of the same bones. Then I started thinking, well, I already have pretty much the ending for the last book. I have pretty much the entire book planned out, except for I have to fix the beginning a little bit, especially writing this now. I definitely have to fix the beginning. But I started thinking about the ending for that. I'm like, that feels too similar to the end of the mainline books in a way, like, because you get that whole, oh, there's like a really powerful entity that we're fighting, and then, oh, we can't defeat it, and something has to kind of, like, you pull something out of your ass and you got to make it not feel like you're pulling it out of your ass, and whatever. So it's like, I don't know, I have the plan for this, and it's just like, you want it to always, you always want to, like, reinvent the wheel with a bunny fur in your mouth. You want to reinvent the wheel with an ending, and you want it to always come out of nowhere, or not really come out of nowhere. Like, you want it to be predicted, but, like, still engaging and shocking when it happens. And you don't want to just be like, and then they defeated him. That he got that one punch in, and the boss went down. It's not a fucking good ending. That's not good. So what do? How do you keep it engaging, and how do you? It really makes me feel like I've reached the limit of storytelling in this universe. And that's probably for the best. I guess not reached the limit for storytelling, but reached the limit for this universe and how we handle final confrontations, I don't know. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to vent that out and show where I'm at. Got my brain completely melted down. I had steam coming out of my ears. So, yeah. Anyways, and I have to come up with a cover for this book. I don't want to have to come up with another cover idea. I have ideas, but I gotta fucking hire an artist to do it and write a synopsis. Oh no, not a synopsis. Fuck. I hate writing synopsis. I hate writing. What if I shaved my face completely? What if I just went bare? I haven't been bare in forever. Sorry, I'm looking at my BB. Say goodnight. Domino, say goodnight.